Good afternoon, folks. This is part 2 in a non-series. We're sort of part 5, part 2. Call it whatever you want. This is the clipper radio that was sort of trying to work yesterday. Now, what we've done, I've got some stuff here. The blank piece of paper. This is, of course, to write down the swear words. Rumpelstiltskin, fiddlesticks. You might even need to invent a few of your own. So always have a spare piece of paper. We did take some notes of the test we did the other day. And what we have, given there's not so many AM radio stations around now, we've looked up what the list was accurate a couple of years ago. So we've got, in this area, I think about 6 or 7. So we know roughly where on the dial to look for them. As I pointed out yesterday, the first thing to do is to take off the knobs. So we could take off 2 knobs, and with a few swear words we took off the 3rd knob. The screw was, to use the New Zealand term, munted, and it was necessary to basically vandalise or do damage to the knob, and then I could get better access to the screw and get it out, and then it slid out the back of here out of the case with very easily. I thought that might be a little bit of a problem, but it turned out not to be. With this radio, and they are different, sometimes the speaker stays inside the case, and there's like a short wire that plugs in somewhere, and you need to very gently ease that wire out before you pull on the speaker too much. Sometimes just a few inches of spare movement. Sometimes part of the tuning mechanism stays in the case. As it is, this has all come out nice and neat, so that's fine. Now, what I did find, I did a bit of research more on this last night, and if you remember from the video yesterday when I did it, there was this black wire which is, what, about a foot long, about 300 millimetres long, and there was about 30 millimetres, or just over an inch, of this orange wire that had been cut or broken off at some previous time. This is the aerial, which is quite important. This is the early model clipper. You can tell it's the early model because it's got these round IF cans. The other ones are the more square shape IF cans, the later models. Some of the later ones had a little bit of a foil antenna. It's a little bit like kitchen foil, and it's sort of stuck up inside the case here. Some radios had that with the clippers. I think just the later ones had it. This looked a bit icky, so I went and washed the dishes. And although that's not directly relevant, after I finished washing the dishes, I washed the case out. I don't know if it's a true early Bakelite, and they're like really brittle plastics. There is a little crack in this I found. See if we get that there. And but it's not, seems to be right through, so I was quite gentle with it. But we've got that looking a bit nicer. Be careful with that. Now, we noticed before the dial light didn't seem to glow, and it's very hard to see in here, but I tipped that up and looked underneath it. It might not have a bulb in it, and there could be a reason for that. Apparently these early clippers, there was enough heat from the dial lamp to melt and damage, or at least mark, the case. So it may have been removed or just not replaced if it at an earlier stage. Apparently the later ones had a slightly different arrangement of how they had the dial lamp, and it didn't burn or damage the case. So what I've done before off camera, I've put a piece of wire on this. I don't know if there's a specific good length, but we've got about 3 metres there, about 10 feet. This is, as we showed yesterday, we have a dim bulb tester, homemade from parts, and we have a ELCB RCD safety switch. So I've plugged that in, it's disconnected. Now, once I got it out of the case, I had a look, and the string did seem to be there, and it did seem to be going around the tuner. And I wondered, well, is it just sort of stuck with old age? The tuning condenser was stuck in the completely closed position, which is the whatever maximum capacity, because the plates are mostly together. And so I just thought I'd ease it with my fingers around a little bit, and wouldn't you know it, it seemed to start moving. So it's now moving there. So we will now what we will do, we've got our earth leakage circuit breaker for safety. We're going to plug in our 25 watt bulb into our dim bulb tester. It's on the low power or the restricted. And we will give the camera a good shake to make sure that's working. And we'll power up the RCD. Obviously I've got the volume knob turned on already a bit. And the pointer does seem to move when I turn the knob. This may be the end of part 1.